You're on the punchline with Kelly Pavlik and James Dominguez.
Welcome back. Hey, we had a
Long time no talk.
yeah, at least 12 hours, right?
There were great fights last night, by the way.
At both events, right? Morgan Fitch pulled a win out. He won from in Pittsburgh, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, we are here. Let me think what else we had going on this week. What else do we have? We had Virgil Ortiz, Marisa Herrera last night, Canelo Jacobs.
Yep.
Beater Beef on ESPN.
I did not get to see that fight.
I covered for you on that one. I watched it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was planning on it today.
Yeah.
But I want to throw out there while we're here, I want to congratulate Lou Schiavone. Lou Schiavone was my attorney, and he represented Team Pavlik for my career and everything else, and he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's a pretty big Hall of Fame here in Youngstown, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You have guys like Ed O'Neill, Ray Mancini, and on and on and on, big-time NFL players that were from Youngstown, and Lou Schiavone got inducted into that today.
Are you in it too already?
No, not yet. But it's Youngstown though, so I might get in it in 3000.
You'll probably
21.
you'll probably get in the Pro Boxing Hall of Fame.
My son will probably be.
You'll get in the Pro Boxing Hall of Fame before you'll get in Youngstown's.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. So umpire in Major League Baseball for all them years.
What about
did Game 7 of the Indians in 2016 World Series?
What about Jim Tressel, Youngstown? Who else? Bob Stoops.
Bobby Stoops.
Oklahoma quarter.
Bo Pelini.
Bo Pelini, yeah.
Bernie Kosar.
Oh, Greg Richards said, let's play Jeopardy 8-4 or 9-3. I gave Canelo 116, 112. I don't do that 8-4, 9-3 because that's for people who can't count.
Yeah. I had a 116, 112.
Same as me.
And possibly
117, 113.
117, 113. But I don't want to get hollered at for that. So I said I stayed with my original scorecard. Like we talked about that. You did too.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to change it, and then I didn't.
Yeah. So thought it was a good fight. I mean, I think personally, we've been saying about how Danny Jacobs fights. Again, it was another fight where Danny Jacobs was in there and could have done more, and he showed those little glimpses of like brilliance. And then where he abandoned it.
He forgot to feed the dog half in the middle of the fight.
And it's true. But I want to say something on that. They both looked, and I don't know if you guys seen it, but it did not look like Canelo last night. Danny Jacobs did not look like he had snap on his punches. I mean, really, go back, watch when he got inside, how Danny Jacobs threw the punches. The one thing I don't want to hear is Canelo's defense was amazing, but the tying up and breaking up the punches and not letting Danny Jacobs get off. I don't think that last night was him doing that on purpose. I think that was that they just were both sluggish and they fell into each other a lot, and then they would grab, which is smart. But for the most part, though, I thought, Canelo outdid things. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the one round that I did actually give, and this is why I say 117, 113, not 117, 113, 117 would be 117, 111, was because that round, Danny Jacobs was getting beat the entire round. 3 minutes in a round. And Danny Jacobs landed that big overhand right, and I ended up still giving it to Danny Jacobs, though, because of that big right hand. I mean, it was brutal. And Canelo showed his chin on that. So
was anybody really surprised that Jacobs couldn't hurt Canelo? Because no one else has.
No.
Julian says, Virgil Ortiz is now my favorite boxer. I could see it. Hey, Virgil, Julian, I want to ask you something about this. You said Canelo had no defense the other day, and I was blown the fuck away. That's like, out of anything you could say about Canelo, weight bully, overrated, but you can't say the dude don't have a defense. He held Jacobs to about 10% last night. Really. I mean, I was like, what the fuck is Julian thinking? He's on that devil's dandruff.
Or something. Ricky goes Amorosa.
Hey, Kerry said, what's up, James and Kelly? How you doing, brother? I hope everything's good for you. Jacob started too late, but it's definitely... But, Darren, Jacob's always been a front runner. He starts slow and he comes on, and he's been doing that last 3 fights. Unfortunately, you can't do that with a guy like Canelo Alvarez. You have to be in the fight the whole 12 rounds.
Exactly. Justin, I'm going to have you keep an eye on the YouTube questions. We're not really getting anything in. I'm gonna go over to Facebook till they start coming
Um, right now, and somebody just said some crazy shit. Jacobs versus Charlo. Esteban, no, Charlo, no. Charlo is not even a position, doesn't even deserve that fight with Canelo right now. There's so many. I'd rather see Andrade, or how do you? I don't know how to say his name, but it's Andrade. I'd rather see him, Andrade. The Charlo Jamal look like shit.
You know what? That's another thing too. Everybody keeps saying like about the Triple G and Canelo third fight. I don't think that fight. I really don't want to see it. First of all, I think that's going to eventually take its toll on Canelo.
Yeah.
Triple G, who really cares? I mean, the guy's 37 years old, 38. He's about done anyways, and that's another thing too. I think Canelo wins that third fight, but it takes a lot out. When them fights right there really drain the fighter.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the reason that there was not a lot of snap on Canelo. Something it took something from him.
Yeah, give on guys like Billy Joe Saunders and Andrade and Charlo. Let them kind of get in the mix now with Triple G, with Danny Jacobs, and with Canelo, and make it interesting. And then maybe a year and a half from now, have somebody come in and unify that division again. You know what I mean by that? I think that it's fair to let these guys come in. We've seen Triple G Canelo, and we've seen how it went.
Yeah.
Let these other guys kind of get in the action a little bit. I mean, because everybody keeps talking about them being able to beat these top guys when we really haven't seen anything from them.
King William Thompson always has good questions, and I like reading his stuff on Facebook. I thought Danny would fight behind a strong jab and lateral movement early on. It was unrealistic to expect him to develop that hard jab in one count. You know what? I personally think that Jacobs didn't throw a jab because he didn't want the heat coming back. When you throw a jab at Canelo, he counters jabs very well, and I think Danny Jacobs is aware of that jab, the counter-punching abilities, and I think he was a little hesitant to pull the trigger. On the same token, so was Canelo. I didn't think he wanted to be countered by Jacobs either, so it made for a very uneventful fight.
Yeah, Brandon Cross goes, fuck, I'm 37. Way to kill the ego, Kelly. You know what I'm talking about. At that level and at that point of your career, the big fight like that,
yeah,
a big difference. So,
hey, Brandon Krause, one of the best trainers in LA, Outlaw Boxing, one of the good guys in the sport. He said Canelo's chin is the most underrated attribute. Agreed, 100%. The guy has a set of whiskers on him.
How you see Boo Boo jab versus Canelo?
It's the same. You would get countered up because Canelo is a master at
there's nothing's going to work against really on Canelo, right? I don't see anybody that's in the middleweight division that's really going to be able to establish anything or any big game plan against Canelo. He is too slick. He takes it away. For instance, last night, Danny Jacobs, he wasn't firing it, but he was putting it out there like 3 or 4 jabs in a row.
Yeah.
And Canelo rolled every one of them. And then after he rolled it, he fired an up jab right underneath the snizzle of Danny Jacobs.
Did you just say snizzle?
Yes.
I have never heard that word.
I know.
That's a great word.
And he caught him good with that jab. And that's Canelo. That's why I'm telling you, if people want to keep trying to knock him, put the hate aside. Quit being so biased and because you have dislike, and really appreciate the fucking sport. I mean, the guy's good. To sit there and tell him to say that he's not, or he's overrated, or this ain't that good, you got to be crazy.
Esteban says, I was wondering why people were thinking that Jacobs was going to box and move. Like Jacobs boxes like Lara. Why did they think Jacobs that kind of fighter? I think I'm not speaking for people, but I think a lot of people, they know that Canelo is not a mover fighter. He's kind of heavy-footed and things like that. He doesn't move, and they figured that even a decent amount of movement would be more than what he can handle. But they're wrong, because what Canelo did last night was awesome. Is he cut the ring off like a it was awesome the way he cut the ring off. Did you see that?
What's that on the YouTube? Yeah, I see. I'm getting to it. Joey Slowwater goes, Jacobs versus Triple G 2. The winner gets another shot at Canelo. Okay, again, Julian, but it's kind of getting played out. The two big names in the division, or 3 big names, getting played out where they keep fighting each other. Again, you do have some other prospects coming up. Triple G's getting older now. He's about done. We've seen Canelo Jacobs. We've seen Jacobs Triple G. Let's see some of these other guys get in the mix, and then, like I said, maybe a little over a year from now, give Saunders a shot at Jacobs. Give Charlo a shot at Triple G. give Andrade a shot at Canelo.
Or a
you know
Charlo.
what I mean?
A Charlo.
Or
You know
Char-
what?
yeah, I already
That's,
said
that's
Charlo,
something
like-
that's been wanting to happen
Yeah.
anyway. We were in the middle of a fight between Andrade and Charlo in Barclays Center.
Or let's take a whole break on that and let Charlo fight Billy Joe Saunders and prove themselves to be able to get a title shot.
Well, here's the one there too. That was the best lateral movement of Canelo today. Yeah, Julian, but I think it was more of Canelo has added something else to his game. He can cut the ring off, and that was something that he didn't do well, but he looked, and I think if you take away the defense and you take away his punching and everything else, for me, the most impressive thing he did was the way he cut the ring off. He held Jacobs to a small little spot in the ring.
He did, but the last night it wasn't that was not one of his impressive,
to me,
impressive fights at all.
No, but the way he cut the ring off, that's something that people don't pick up like.
Well, Danny Jacobs but Danny Jacobs is not known to be a mover. So against a guy like that who's not known to be a mover, it's not that hard to cut the ring off.
Yeah, but somebody who's not known to even move.
Yeah. You know, Jacobs kind of put himself in a corner a lot. Ricky goes, Benavidez versus Canelo.
That's harder. That's a harder fight.
That'd be stupid if Canelo would really take a fight like that right now.
Benavidez is fucking big.
Canelo's not having an issue making 160. He just came up not too long ago from 154. You know, you bite off more than you can chew at certain points in your career.
It's true.
I see that.
There's a lot of questions here.
Jessica, hi guys, welcome back. Been waiting, making sure I didn't miss your show.
Thank you.
My question: Jacobs was a giant next to Canelo, and had the advantage with his height, weight, and size. Yeah, but that happens in boxing. I mean, they made 160
for the average. So, you know, they're saying that they didn't release the weights publicly. I heard today that Canelo weighed in at fight time 176, and Jacobs weighed 192 at fight time, and that is a super middleweight against right at cruiserweight, basically, just a little short of cruiserweight, which is fucking up. And I'm not saying anything about Jacobs, but here's what I don't understand. And here, correct me if I'm wrong. They're saying that they were trying to sell on DAZN, which I think was the dumbest shit I've ever heard. That trying to sell that it was an investment, that he took $1 million pay cut. He made $2.5 million last night. How is losing $1 million an investment? If you lost and you lost $1 million, then you lost the fucking fight.
And it went to Canelo.
And the $1 million went to Canelo. And let me tell you something else. What was said? If Jacobs would have been respectful of Canelo at the weigh-in, Canelo would have gave the $1 million back. He can kiss his ass. I mean, that's how Canelo is. You think Canelo needs $1 million? He flosses with $1 million. You know what I mean? He just made 35.5 last night.
Jessica goes, heard he came at 186 and Canelo at 175.
The 190 was there.
Get credit as good boxer taking on these big middleweight boxers. This is all one question. Kelly yourself said, should not be in the division being it's not his natural weight. Canelo should be. Ranked number 1 pound for pound. I don't see Crawford or Loma taking on bigger fighters and challenges like Canelo. Well, Crawford, I could give it the number 1 too.
I don't think
especially over Loma. But as far as the weight issue goes, again, on this, Jessica, they made 160. That was the contractual agreement to make it. And I think actually that was a little brutal to only let the guys rehydrate 10 pounds after drying out for 3 days.
That's an IBF rule.
Yeah, but I mean that's horrible that they have that rule, and but so I don't see anything. There was no weight advantage. You know what? If Canelo was that worried about Danny Jacobs coming in that heavy, then Canelo should have went out there and put weight on and bulked up more. You know, after the weight.
But I think it's funny, Kelly, that people are blaming Canelo for this weight thing. They're like, oh, Canelo beat a weight bully. No, this had nothing to do with Canelo. The IBF made that rule, and that's Jacobs' belt. Jacobs was the IBF champion.
And the WBC actually was the one that really started doing all that after, you know, how much you put on that weight check, 30 days out, 10 days out.
Yeah.
So,
but they're blaming Canelo for Jacobs not being able to hydrate like that. That's the IBF rule. That was his job, or he would have got. That's what they put on him, or he would have got stripped.
When the IBF did that with his fight before that.
Yeah.
Julian goes, I had it pretty close. A couple of those rounds I scored even. I gave the first round to Jacobs. I felt the commentators and judges were biased. Canelo won by 2 rounds. He did not walk through Jacobs. Nobody said he walked through Jacobs, but it's nobody being biased. Actually, I thought it was one of the very few times that the commentators actually were spot on last night during the fight. The only thing I don't agree with them on, and it still almost persuaded me a little bit, was when they gave Danny Jacobs the round because he landed one big shot in that round, and unfortunately, that's the round that I gave Jacobs too. But I thought it was actually pretty good commentating last night on the fight.
I do too. Orlando Canizal is watching. Hall of Fame bantamweight, one of the best ever. Charlo versus Danny or Saunders. I would like to see him and with Billy Joe. Charlo and Billy Joe would be a great fight.
It would be a good fight. It'd be a fight that we need to see.
Yeah.
So that way Billy Joe could we know what he's about.
There's a lot of questions here, and I know we've been talking.
I'm gonna hit Jessica one more time. Jessica, she goes, I was referring to size. No, I understand where you're going with that, Jessica. I understand, but again,
you know,
Jacobs made 160, and I don't think he has any plans on going. I haven't heard him mention anything about jumping to super middleweight. So, Canelo be in the middleweight division? Will he always be the smaller guy?
He's 5'8".
That's it. I mean, again, he moved up to junior middleweight. Yeah, he is going. Unfortunately, going to be one of. I think Andrade though, he might have a size advantage with him.
Andrade's like 5'11", 6 foot.
He is, but I'm talking just overall like size.
Yeah, size.
Andrade is kind of a thinner, smaller frame guy.
Yeah, did you hear Andrade last night? He said that Jacobs won easily. I'm like, I know one thing. Andrade can't see.
When did he say that? He didn't say it on his.
Yeah, I did on the post-fight interview.
I heard it. He said he thought Jacobs pulled it out.
Yeah, he thought he won, and I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" I said, "Oh, well, at least with all that great defense he has, he still can't see." Mm-hmm. But I think it's more than that. I think it goes beyond what you see in the ring. I think it's how you feel, because a lot of people today are saying some ignorant shit, man. Canelo was outboxed. Virgil Ortiz would get beat by Teofimo. I'm like, you know what? Teofimo's a lightweight. Virgil's a welterweight. What are you even talking about?
It's just the jealousy, or not even jealousy. It's just people that are just biased. Again, going back on that. Hey, listen, it's cool to have fans and people that you support, and like, who's your favorite fighter? It's cool to have like Virgil Ortiz, Teofimo, or Lomachenko. That's cool, and yes, that is good. That's what being a fan is. But also, within the same time, you cannot sit there and put somebody down or say like they're overrated and say it out of being biased or just dislike for the person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mayweather. People could dislike Mayweather, but you cannot sit there and say he's not a great fighter because you dislike him. Yeah. You got to give the credit where credit's due. Nobody's saying you have to be a fan of these people, but don't knock their potential or how good they are.
Julian said Juan Manuel Marquez had Jacobs as the winner. Well, I will tell you why. Mexico, and I know I'm going to make some people mad, but Mexican fighters are the biggest fucking haters of other Mexican fighters. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Chavez gives no other Mexican credit. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of them do that. They don't give each other credit. Of course, he wants Canelo to lose, because if Canelo keeps winning, it has Marquez's go further and further down the all-time greats. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's what Canelo's already going to be mentioned. When his career's over, he'll be mentioned with one of the all-time greats of Mexico.
And rightfully so.
Salvador Sanchez, Julio Cesar Chavez, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales. You're going to hear those names.
Canelo retired tomorrow. He's a Hall of Fame fighter.
Yes.
Let me get this one. He goes,
Robert Garcia's watching. The great Robert Garcia.
Robert, what's going on?
How you doing?
Canelo being, I think, Steve Z, I like the amateur system better. Weigh in at 9 a.m., fight at 1 p.m.
That's dangerous.
It's dangerous
for a pro.
36 minutes of fighting. It's totally different in the pros than compared to amateur. Don't get me wrong. Fighting in the amateurs, where some people, the old-time fighters, were like, well, we had to weigh in the same day. Listen, but you guys got used to it, and it was one fight, and I know it was longer.
It was three-minute rounds.
Yeah, and I know it was longer than the amateur fight, but amateur fighters in tournaments did it every day.
Yes.
But,
Robert says, "What's up, guys? How you doing, Robert?
Robert?
We're proud of you. Thank you, and appreciate everything with Virgil. Great job with him.
It is. It was a good fight last night.
Julian said I was right. Of course, I'm right on that. They do hate.
Julian, he actually got a good one here. He goes, and I was thinking about this last night. He goes, Mr. Mr. Dominguez, how would a prime Jermaine Taylor do against Jacobs, Canelo, and Triple G?
Kelly can answer that better.
I'm going to answer that, and I'm not just saying this. First of all, Jermaine Taylor, when I watch Danny Jacobs fight, I really think that sometimes that's Jermaine Taylor in there. You know what I mean? On certain things that they do.
Everything's the same, huh?
After, last night and even before, I have to say Jermaine was faster and a better fighter than I personally than Danny Jacobs.
Is it out? Can you guys hear it?
Yeah,
No,
so-
no sound.
You're on a 10-second delay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that question, my prime, the question would be, can Canelo deal with the 85, 90 punches around and the constant power shots coming? And you guys, my chin. I mean, big hard-hitting natural middleweights didn't hurt me. So I would have to say me in that fight. I would have to say I would beat Canelo.
Hey, Robert, how do you think it would go between Canelo and Kelly? We're going to ask Robert what he thinks. We want to know what you think, Robert.
And you got to listen to my breakdown, Robert.
Kelly says that he beat Canelo, Robert. He said because he throws 80 or 90 punches per round, and could Canelo contend with 80 or 90 punches per round?
Repeat what you said.
They lost you. Go ahead, Kelly.
All right. Well, Jermaine Taylor. Going back to that one.
Robert's question. Canelo and you.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, again, Canelo is good, but he's a little smaller of a guy. I think that would he be able to keep up with my high 80s to low 90 amount of punches per round, my steady power, and we know that I could take a shot to the body and head. So I just don't know what Canelo would have had, especially that Canelo does fade in later rounds too. So it ain't like Canelo would get me tired and then take advantage of me.
Canelo's gonna reach your
Yeah,
head.
Canelo, wouldn't have reached my head. Guys like that were smaller that came up that I fought and lost to, and I do blame that on the weight, but guys like Sergio Martinez were in great shape too, though. Sergio Martinez got stronger in the later rounds.
Yeah.
Canelo shows that he fades in the later rounds, so I would have to say me, honestly.
Robert Garcia said that Kelly KO's Canelo. Power and balls. You have power and balls. That's why Robert's the fucking
That's
best.
right, and that's why I went with Robert.
That's why you had Robert train you. Is Robert training us help training me for my fight, right?
He better
He
be.
fucking better. We got some work to do.
For you,
Robert.
he better be.
He better be. For me, for my own safety.
Hey, that'd be funny if your ass goes to Robert's gym.
Hey.
And like you train me, he's like, dude, I ain't got time for you guys, man.
What do you
I train champions and contenders. Get the fuck out of here, James.
I'll pay you. I'll give you 10% of my $500.
Robert would be like, I snore that shit what you're going to pay me away in the first half hour of my sleep.
I blew my nose with your purse.
Mm-hmm. I pissed
Kelly-
your purse off last night after Virgil's fight.
I wiped my ass with that $50. But hey, I got a question for you, Kelly.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you, the hardest fight for you, if I go back in time, would be Joe McClellan for you. Yeah. You guys are the same height, almost the same KO power, almost hit. Go ahead, just a little bit by the numbers, but you guys threw about the same amount of punches too. How do you think that?
Wait, what was that?
You and Joe McClellan.
Oh, dude, why you keep bringing that up? I don't know. Gerald McClellan would probably clean my fucking clock.
Well, I could tell you one thing. You could beat him now.
No, all kidding aside, that comes down again, war of nutrition. Like
you could beat
who would have took whose power shots better. But let me go.
Why would Robert do? Robert said, I'll train you, James. You can spar Virgil. No, I'm retiring, Robert. I'm retired. Thank you.
I'll pass.
I'll pass on that.
Julian Slowwater goes, I agree with Blue Diamond. Please talk about Taylor against Canelo, Jacobs, and Triple G. We missed it. All right. I'm sorry about that. I'll go back over it. I think Jermaine Taylor beats Jacobs. I do. And again, I said before, I love Danny Jacobs. He's one of my favorite fighters. I think he's a great person. He's great for the sport, class act. But I think that Danny Jacobs could be a lot better. Unfortunately, just has those lapses when he fights. So I have to take Jermaine Taylor over him. Canelo, I think Jermaine Taylor beats Canelo due to size.
Are you older or younger than Triple G?
I think I'm a
Same
couple
age?
days older.
Couple days older.
I think now with Triple G, I see Jermaine Taylor the same way how he was beating the crap out of Froch and how he was beating the shit out of Triple G or Arthur Abraham. I see the same thing in that fight. I see Jermaine Taylor boxing the ears off of Triple G. I do, but I see Triple G knocking Jermaine Taylor out in the later rounds, probably like around 8, 9. So I mean, you guys got to go back to that too. Jermaine Taylor. Besides my fight, the other two losses that Jermaine Taylor had, besides me, he was beating the shit out of guys that were top fighters, and Carl Froch and Arthur Abraham.
Will Donovan says, okay, James Kelly, let's break some hearts. Robert Garcia versus Canizales. It couldn't. Robert Garcia was a 130, and Canizales was a bantamweight. That fight, there's just no way. But there's just no way that fight could happen. I mean, For me, I think Robert Garcia, and I'm not just saying that because he's homie and everything, but I'm just telling you, he was one of the most underrated technicians in the 90s with the way he fought. He was fast. He had great technique, and he had great defense. I think he was like one of the first guys that mastered that Oxnard style, and he's pushed it on to his fighters. Him and Fernando were the two like guys that laid that foundation for everybody else that's trained or came out of Oxnard.
Yeah. Daniel Martinez, Kelly James, what scorecards?
Robert said he has Corona's waiting for me. All right. Thank you for coming on, Robert. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that is cool, man.
Yeah, that's great.
Especially after a big night like last night.
Yeah, that's huge. And then we have great champions like Robert, and we have
that's how I know
Canizalo's coming on, and Brandon Krause. We have like all the best guys.
That's how we know we're making it.
We do. We have guys that are legit in the sport coming on the show.
Robert Garcia takes the time the day after a big show.
Yep.
Comment on our show.
He came on the day after Mikey fought 2 fights ago. You remember?
I'm gonna go out to California and give him a hug.
Did you give him a reach around?
No reach around. For
Virgil Ortiz versus Regis Prograis. You know what? Maybe Virgil's not ready for that yet. Virgil's a great fighter and maybe a fight or two still. But Virgil's 147 now. He's not 40. So, I mean, let's give the kid a chance to breathe a little bit and enjoy his purse.
Weight class.
He just went up and
just moved up to it.
You know who I would like to see though? You know what I'm gonna tell you? Virgil Ortiz and Adrian Broner at 147.
Oh, that'd be great.
Wouldn't that be a fucking great?
I think that'd be actually a safe fight for Virgil.
It would be
too.
Great fight
and a learning experience.
Broner and Virgil Ortiz. Let's make it happen. What do you think? What do you think there, Justin?
All right, I'm gonna go on. Ricky goes. Jacob's defense is a little better than Taylor's. I don't know on that, but that's your opinion, buddy.
What do you say?
Jacob's defense is a little better than Taylor's. That's close. I mean, it's close.
Damon
says the Saturday night's version of Canelo beat Bivol Benavidez Plant Zerto. No, Damon. From my opinion, I thought that was not one of the better showings from Canelo last night. Not his fault. Not that he's bad. He did not look like Canelo though. He looked. They looked very sluggish to me. Again, now I don't know if that was the zone's cameras. The way they looked on TV. I don't know what the reasoning was. Maybe it was. Yeah, maybe it was the rehydration. That clause. The only put on 10 pounds. But I thought they both looked very sluggish. That was last night. No, I'm sorry. I don't think Canelo comes close to beating them guys.
No. So John says Virgil not coming back to 40. He called out Maurice Hooker recently. Well, I talked to Virgil's dad, and Virgil said they're moving to 47. Virgil's having trouble making 40, which he's 21 years old. He's damn near 6 foot, if not 6 foot. I know they say he's 5'11", but he's a sight under 6 foot. He's growing, man. And if he goes to 140, it's going to be hard. But you know what? Maurice Hooker himself is not a small 140, is he, Justin? We saw him in Dallas. That motherfucker's every bit of 6'1", 6'2" himself.
And Justin, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying the camera. Sometimes the angles, the way the camera hits the fighters, though, the punches, is different views from the zone compared to.
Yeah. I'm having an issue with the zone's streaming. It keeps like lagging, and my Wi-Fi is good. I don't know what's going on. It's racist. The zone's racist. Look, guys, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Broner's going to be a great fight. I'm saying that the experience that Virgil would get fighting a guy like Broner would be immeasurable for him to move on with.
Broner has the experience, the style, and I think it's like I said. I think it's a safe fight for Virgil Ortiz at this point to go in and get that. I mean, he's ready for the big time. Don't get me wrong. And I heard Virgil say that in the post-fight interview. But I still think it's another big name for him. It's a good payday for Ortiz, which I think he's going to deserve at this point for taking the fights that he's taken with the little experience that, the fights that he has. Yeah. I know he spars world champion guys, but, the fighting and sparring is two different roles. Yeah. And, you mentioned that. So I think that's a big fight for him to take. I think that would be a good matchup. I doubt it will happen.
Holly Gayton's watching. Hey, Holly, how are you doing? That's my girl right there. I've known her all.
Jessica Virgil Ortiz
20 years. That's my girl. How you doing, Holly? What do you guys think? Who do you think Canelo fight next? I think maybe Andrade would be a great fight, but maybe leaving Benavidez alone at 68 because Benavidez is not a 168-pound fighter. He's a 200-pound fighter that can make weight. Yeah. You know better than anybody. How heavy was Benavidez when you sparred him in Oxnard?
230.
230. Yeah. But I understand he was out of shape. Just getting back in the gym. Yeah. But if he walks at 230, then he's walking at 200 now.
Yeah.
He was a big kid when we saw him in Dallas that night.
Tall.
Yeah.
David says, fellas, does Ortiz Jr. remind you of Prime Tito or Prime Fernando?
Fernando.
A little bit of Fernando.
The instinct, the instinct to
Yeah.
finish you is a Fernando instinct. The size and the way he punches, Tito.
Ortiz goes, he goes in for it. I tell you what, I really like from Ortiz. Early on in his career, he was really like every punch. He was really good and fast, but every punch was with bad intentions on it, and
he was blind.
Now,
He was blind.
but now he became he's just even better. Like I'm talking about boxer puncher.
Yeah.
He does things in there. He slips. He makes moves and he throws the punches and they're fast. And the next one is a thudding shot. The next one is a whip. And he's really got the total package, and he's really putting everything together so nicely now. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a huge fan of him and I talk to him, but the kid is the real deal, and he's legit. And he's going to be trouble for anybody. Even right now, he is trouble for anybody in that weight class. And he's definitely going to be a world champion.
Brandon said Broner's a big step up from here. I agree, Brandon, and that's why I said it. I think that would tell us everything we didn't know about Virgil right now fighting a guy like Broner. I don't know. And he's also a lot bigger. Broner's not a big 147. He's a natural 140 guy.
Yeah.
King says, how serious the issue is Canelo's knee? They mentioned last night that he wants to get taken care of. I think it's a big issue. He has complained about his knee for the past 3 fights. He's been in a brace. I've seen him in sparring videos where he's using the brace with the little wheel on it.
Yeah.
You know that? So it's got to be a serious
And that might
issue.
be another reason why he looked the way he did last
could
night
be.
too. So Jessica, you're saying taking Broner would be good for experience.
Yes.
Yeah, it would. And I think it's a safe fight for Ortiz. I hate saying it like that. I think it's a fight where he could really go in against a top guy or a guy that's been there, done that, and who's still somewhat got a lot left or a good amount left. And I think it's a fight that
has name recognition.
I think it'd be a good payday for Virgil Ortiz, and it'd be a fight that he could learn a lot from, even more than what he already knows.
When Ortiz gets prime, how would Virgil do with a cute guy like Crawford? Whoa, slow down. We're talking about Virgil and Crawford now. Slow. Let's hit the Jake break on that one.
Jake break goes.
No, it goes. No, it doesn't. It goes. Have you heard them on the semi trucks?
No, Jake break is for the engine.
It's the engine retardant. It cuts back the cylinders.
I drive that.
You do not drive
My
that.
RV has a Jake
It
brake
does
on
not.
it. Yes, it most certainly does.
So you're saying you're a truck driver because you have an RV?
I got a diesel engine RV.
Parking brake on.
Hey, do you remember? You remember?
No, the Jake brake, because I would do it in the nighttime. I would drive it around the city streets,
I got that shit
and
from
I'd have that fucking Jake brake on. I'd hit it, and Big Bill, Kentucky Bill, was like,
fucking Big Bill. Is
what
that
the-
the one?
and he goes, "What the hell you doing?" He goes, "You will get the cops pull you over putting a Jake brake on." He goes, "There's restrictions against Jake brakes in residential areas."
Was that
I'm
Big
like,
Bill at Walmart? Was that the same Big Bill?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was a different one. This is Big Bill from Kentucky.
Big bills you know, motherfucker.
There was a Big Bill running his mouth about Kelly. But it says, I do think Canelo's knee played a part how he have looked last night. Do not do a lot of road work. Yeah, I can see that, Jesse. John says, I think Canelo versus Callum Smith for a world title 68 is going to happen. It's an easy fight to make. Agreed. I can see that.
Good. I'll slow down on him going to 68 though right now.
Esteban says, Ortiz noticed that Herrera was dropping his left in the first 2 rounds, then set up for that monster right feints movement. Pure cerebral boxing. And that's the thing with Virgil Ortiz. He is a cerebral first guy. He's very analytical. He breaks you down. He figures you out and breaks you down, but it doesn't take him long to do it. He'll have you figure it out in half a round.
Jake Miller goes, he could take a little rest at this point, so this may be the time for Canelo to rest. I think he could take a little time off, but again, too, he's got a huge contract, and his own gave him a lot of money for him to perform, too.
I did hear a little inside rumor today from the man himself.
Who?
Mikey.
What about that?
Mikey's fighting in December, guys.
Sweet.
At 40. At 140, Mikey's fighting December. I don't know who. I'm not allowed to say it because
I
I don't
figured
know.
it was going to be 140. He's in a campaign there.
Well, he vacated 35. So
Yeah.
at 40, but I don't know who he's fighting yet. But as soon as he does, I will drop that info on you guys. But I heard December he's fighting.
Damon got a good one. Who wins? Canelo versus Oscar at 154.
Canelo at 54. Oscar was not good at 54. Oscar peaked at 47.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, but mainly a lot of the fights that Oscar lost at 54 were later in the rounds. He did good, early on.
You remember
and Canelo fades at later in the fights.
Remember the Spaniard he fought at 54?
No, he fought. He fought
the Spaniard at 54. What was his name? That guy fucking. That guy fucking.
Javier Castillo.
Castillo.
Yeah.
And dude, that's not. And he gave Oscar problems. Could you imagine Canelo at 54?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
If you put them, I think Oscar peaked at 40 and 47.
I think Oscar's, but styles make fights. I think the way they fought and the way they fight.
Yeah.
I don't think even at 54, I don't think Canelo's going to get away from too many of them shots, though.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think if you would have said Oscar, basically anybody at 47, maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what? Personally, I'm not a big fan of Canelo. I'm not. As a person, I'm not a fan. But I do recognize his talent, and I do recognize how good he is.
Oh, Francesca is Devin Haney the future of boxing? I don't think so.
Hey Donovan, I was at the Stewart too when Hooker was there. I'm surprised I didn't see you. I would have liked to seen you there. I know I seen you at the fight, but I was like, I didn't see you at the Stewart. You know what? Regis Prograis, they need to build that a little bit. He's making a foray into 140. Regis just got out of fight. Maybe it happens, but I don't think it's going to happen this time.
I don't think Regis right now against Mike. I think I would take Mikey in that fight. I really would.
I would too. I would take Mikey.
Definitely.
And I'm not saying that because we're being biased. We're not. But I think a lot of people jumped off the Mikey train after Spence,
which is ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous because they're treating Mike Garcia like he's like some kind of fringe contender or some guy.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that the way that Prograis fights, that's kind of in Mikey's wheelhouse for that. I mean, the last fight, big. The Prograis, I mean, he was wasn't his best performance either. But from what I see, with the way Mikey fights, Mikey definitely wins that fight.
Well, I know, Donovan. I know we talked, but I was saying I didn't know if you were talking about the first time or the second time. I've seen Hooker twice, and I didn't see the second time.
Which fight was better, Canelo or Triple G versus Jacobs?
Oh yeah. Hey, before you go into, I saw Donovan for like you were there, Justin. Remember when we were talking? I was talking to Donovan in the hall of the Stewart, and William was getting upset. Remember that guy, my friend with us? He was getting upset because I was talking to Donovan forever. Donovan was like, we talked for 10 minutes. I said, I know, but I didn't see it the second time. But I said, everybody, they were getting mad because I was spending more time talking to people.
He is, Richard, I think Ortiz said he's going back to 140.
And his dad told me he wasn't, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going to listen to Pop. I'm going to listen to Pops on that one, you know what I mean?
It seems pretty certain that Haney is the future of boxing. He is,
John said Prograis is a natural 140. Mikey isn't. I disagree with that. I think he is a natural 140. When you're killing yourself to make 35 and you're not a 47, you got to fall right somewhere in that.
I mean, I think right now that Mikey's more comfortable at 140 for a reason too, being that because there's still a lot of big fights out there at 135 for Mikey. So if he's not going back to that weight class for a reason,
let me tell you this. Let's say this, Kelly. The way a lot of times the human body, guys, when Mikey moved up to 47, it's going to be harder for him to go to 35 again. When you went to 75, could you have made 160 again after you went to 75?
I did go to 160 again.
Was it harder?
Oh, I came back and beat the shit out of Rubio.
Was it hard though?
Oh.
No, well, a lot of times it's hard.
The fight that got hard was actually the fight after. Well, they were always kind of hard. I mean, even the Taylor fight, the Miranda fight was hard.
The Martinez fight.
The McCart fight was hard.
Yeah.
And that was in 2006. But, no, it got really hard against Miguel Espino.
Well, they're saying Virgil fights Ramirez. That's not going to happen. Virgil and Ramirez are teammates.
Yep. Would Canelo be more likable if he knew English well and was able to promote himself better? I think that makes, my personal opinion, I think that makes a big difference. Jake Miller, if Canelo, would he be more likable if he knew English?
I'm sure that's always
it would, because some fans want, like, that are not Mexican or Spanish, they want to try to relate. To me, I don't give a shit. I'm a boxing fan. I look past that. And I think Canelo's learning somewhat of the English.
He is trying to learn.
But Canelo, you got to remember this too. Canelo don't live in the United States either. I mean, he still lives in Mexico. And you know what? That'd be like if an American guy fought over in Mexico or Germany. Should they learn German or Spanish?
It helps. It makes you
does,
get
but
around a little better. But yeah, but no, they're
to
not.
him, it's not. He's not a citizen here or walks around every day life in the United States.
The motherfucker pays taxes here. He pays a shitload of taxes
he does.
too, right?
But he
So
makes a shitload of money here.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He paid a shitload of taxes. Yeah, I can see that, John. But I think that again, Mikey's grown a lot. And you can't stay at 26 forever.
Damon, this is a general statement. Virgil Ortiz Jr. has the most raw power I've seen since Triple G stepped on the scene in 2012. Agree or disagree?
I could agree with that.
I don't know as far as raw power, because again, that goes on. Like, I think Triple G is more of a thudding puncher. I think Virgil Ortiz has the best leverage to be a power, like a surprising,
torque. Yeah, that torque.
To be a surprising that's which is more dangerous than what Triple G has. Because Virgil Ortiz could be boxing your ears off, and the next thing you know, zinc.
Virgil has that Oscar De La Hoya type torque, or that. Don't go crazy, guys. I'm just saying that Tommy Hearns type torque. I'm not saying he's Tommy Hearns or Oscar. I'm saying that the way their bodies are shaped, and Felix Trinidad even, the way their bodies are shaped, they get that big torque on their punches. They're thin and wiry. Oh, Kelly Pavitt torque, right?
Exactly.
Guys, they torque and their body can twist, and they get more out of their hips, and they get more out of their thighs, and they get more out of their back.
I could work them hips.
They get more out of their back, so that's a lot of torque.
Are we going to start wrapping up? From the producer.
We have to wrap up, guys. It's Game of Thrones tonight, and our producer has to get home.
Yeah.
But hey, guys.
Blame it on me.
It's absolutely. You don't want to wrap it up.
Andy, thoughts? Do this for Donovan. Andy Ruiz and Joshua.
I gotta go with Joshua.
I gotta go with Joshua. Andy's big and he's not the most fit guy, but he has fast hands, but he just doesn't hit that hard to keep Joshua off.
He may give Joshua fits for a little bit, but for the most part, Joshua.
And we'll get into it next Tuesday, right? That fight. You're right, Jane. Virgil has crazy torque and gets full extension, and I think so, man. I think as soon as we find out who Mikey's gonna fight, we will let you guys know, or you guys might know before us. Some of you guys get information faster than we do.
Real quick, Ricky made a funny point. Mexican fighters never speak English, and they live close to the U.S. Yet all the Eastern European fighters do.
Marquez spoke English.
Yeah, Marquez.
Barrera speaks English. Barrera and Marquez spoke English.
Yeah, they learned it more after they retired.
Marquez speaks really good English.
Yeah, he does.
And you know what? Let me tell you why before we go. Eastern Europeans, most Europeans speak English because it's part of their coursework when they go to school. They learn English.
Right.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Esteban. Thank you for everybody, guys.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for Tuesday.
Subscribe Sunday.
Sundays at 7.
Yes. Subscribe, share, ring that bell, and tune in Sundays at 7. Today we pushed it back half hour because I had a obligation or something to be at. So
yeah, but normally, guys, 7 o'clock. Thank you, guys. You guys are the ones that make this show. If we didn't have you, we'd be two assholes with opinions.
You're still two assholes with opinions.
That's true, but at least Kelly would be a world champion with an opinion. I'm an asshole with an opinion, right?
Hey, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
If he gets Andre, would it be the same type of fight? I don't think so. Oh, Andre Ward? I don't think he needs to worry about that fight right now. Canelo and Andre. Andre's not even fighting again. Thank you, guys. Game of Thrones, let's go. All right, guys, and have a great week. And if you guys have any questions, hit us.
Great Sunday fun day.
Hit us on the inbox if you have any questions that we didn't get to, and we will answer them.
Peace.